Hi, thank you for joining me for Listen Up Homebuyers. I'm so excited to have two designers from the Washington, DC and Baltimore area. They do commercial design as well as residential. Welcome, TiAndra Houston and Donahue to the podcast, Listen Up Homebuyers.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, thanks for having us.
I'm so glad you're here. So often the conversations tend to be with home buyers as we're touring homes. You know, what can I do in this property with this kitchen, with this bathroom? It's just every day when I'm out showing properties. So, could you offer some advice and tips on some really high end and cost conscious kind of designs for residential homes?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I can start off talking a bit about bathroom first, high end. One of the things that is really important to consider whenever you're diving into a remodel is, and this is something that we actually spoke about when we had our last chat previously with the three of us, was how are you using the space? And how do you want that space to feel? If there's any changes that are happening within your family, if you need to expand, thinking about these things first and foremost, understanding how you're using the space currently and how you want to use it in the future.
Mhm.
And then also collecting ideas, inspirational images, really to think about, is it the right feel that you want? Do you feel, is it comfortable? Are there certain styles that you're interested in? Once you kind of have those ideas and you start kind of like programming and understanding your bathroom,
Mhm.
your high-end bathroom,
Mhm. Mhm.
how you're using that now, that will help you to any other decision that you make going forward as you're
Mhm.
moving into your design. So a great resource that Caitlin and I have been using, and you've probably heard of Bob Vila,
Mhm.
excuse me.
Mhm.
He from This Old House, I believe was the show.
Love that show.
Yes, such a great show. Loved it growing up. But he's such a great resource of information, just anything and everything that you want to ask about residential design. And one of the things that he mentions on his website or is just the cost. How expensive would it be in this time
Mhm.
right now, especially in 2021, 2022,
Right.
would these renovations cost? So the
Mhm.
average cost about now is about 11,000 for more of a high end kind of uh,
Bathroom.
bathroom
Yeah.
renovation, but that can go anywhere from 6,000 to 16,000. And
Right.
when you're thinking about high end, that the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
You can start really low, but it can go up there.
Sure. Yeah, I've been in homes where I know that just the tub itself, the soaking tub that stands
Mhm.
like the old-fashioned four-legged or four-footed tubs,
Clawfoot.
yeah,
Mhm.
$3,000 to $5,000 just for
Yep.
that. You know, and then
Mhm.
I've seen them where they're a little more affordable, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Definitely. So another thing to consider with a high-end bathroom renovation is if you want to hire other people to do the work so you don't have to do as much of it yourself. So if you're
Mhm.
bringing in consultants, if you're bringing in designers, if you're bringing in contractors to do some of the work, that of course is going to add on to that cost.
Mhm.
Another thing to consider is permits. If you're doing any type of expanding on your property, if you're trying to push out an exterior wall to add that bathroom, you may need permits to do that. And you may want to have a consultant or a designer to ask those questions just to find out the cost in your city.
Mhm.
That can add cost, that can add time. So those are all things that you want to think about when it comes to high end. Um, One of the things that I mentioned about how you're currently using your master bedroom is if you're adding a different additional sinks, for instance. So
Yeah.
let's say that you're a single person, but you're about to get married and your husband's going to be moving into your space and you need a two sink, counter versus just a single sink.
Right.
Thinking about those things and maybe expanding into surrounding areas, that's going to cost a bit more. So let's say you have a closet behind your bathroom currently and you want to expand your bathroom into that closet space, that's going to cost a bit more money to get that two sink in there.
Yeah.
Or like you mentioned, if you have want to get a new tub, maybe a clawfoot tub, or you want to do a walk-in shower that's going to take several more square feet, that's going to cost more money to kind of blow out into that wall or
Right.
into a secondary bathroom or restroom, or excuse me, a bathroom,
And
excuse
you
me,
make a really good point because
bedroom.
as you blow out into these other rooms,
Yes,
it's the domino effect, right? It's like, okay, now where am I going to put my closet that I just, added to my
exactly.
bathroom space? And
Right.
it does
Exactly.
kind of have that ripple effect. So I think it is wise to choose someone, whether it's a contractor or whether it's, a consultant who has that overall design in mind, because I've seen some really bad looking bathrooms, really
Hmm.
bad. And it's like, what were
Yeah.
you thinking? Yeah.
Yeah. It's smart to think about how you are using the space and how you want to use it and move around in the space. Like when you're going to take a shower, when you're going to, put your makeup on, when you're doing these actual activities,
Right.
think about how your body moves
Yeah.
because you want that flow to be seamless. And if you just renovate your bathroom and you're just thinking about the finishes but you're not actually thinking about the function, that's
Hmm.
going to be a problem for you in the long run. So you
Yeah.
want to make sure that you're really laying it out in the way
Mhm.
that you
Yeah.
want.
Caitlin, you had something to add? I saw you raise your
Oh, no,
hand.
that's just a big point. I'll think about the function to begin with, and we can make it beautiful, but how you're using the space is what's really going to make your day an easy start or a stressful start. And you just want everything within reach quickly and seamlessly. There's enough
Hmm.
going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hectic already in the
You don't
morning.
need your bathroom to stress you out too. Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. I love what I'm seeing a lot of now, and that is either a half wall or a complete separate area for the toilet. And that way
Mhm.
people can have their privacy,
Yeah.
but you also can get in there, brush your teeth, wash your face, take a
Mhm.
shower. It really makes a difference, you know?
Absolutely.
It
Yes. Smart,
does.
smart design.
It's
Yeah,
definitely smart design. It allows you several people to be in the bathroom at once. You still have
Yep.
your privacy. It's definitely a great way to go.
yeah,
Another thing that we're seeing that's been, I'm sure you're probably seeing, maybe having clients talk about too, is just like aging in place.
yeah.
And thinking about how can you renovate your space, your bathroom, not wanting to leave your home because you love your
Hmm.
home, but
Hmm.
making sure that you can age gracefully and with dignity in the space of where you love to be. So
Hmm.
things to
Hmm.
consider is clearances. If you have someone who's in a wheelchair or
Hmm.
if they have you need to have at least 36 inches at that sink so you can roll up easily. If
Hmm.
you're have a walk-in shower without a curb so you can roll into that shower or you don't have any issues kind of getting in there, thinking about built-in benches, which again that falls into kind of the custom space,
Mhm.
but it looks seamless and it looks great. Another thing to think about are like grab bars and
Yeah.
making sure you have the blocking to hold the weight, hold your weight and your spouse's weight. And there are so many different designs nowadays. I think back in the day when it came to grab bars, they were very not as pretty, which I'll
Yes.
say.
Utilitarian. Yes.
Yeah.
Very, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. But now there are so many manufacturers who have great designs that are seamless, that are beautiful, modern styles that in different colors that you can think
Hmm.
about that really works with your design. So
Right.
thinking about how you want to use that space as you grow older and finding some of those great manufacturers and fixtures and finishes
Yeah.
that will work with that design.
Are you finding, and I'd like to hear your opinion on some of the higher end fixtures, because again, that's another thing that I see quite a bit of, and it can make a real difference in price. But are you
Mhm.
find that there, with your work, that there's a bit of a supply delay that you're having to factor into your schedule of completion right now?
Yes, I feel
Absolutely.
like that across the industry wide, no matter if you're doing commercial, residential, it doesn't matter, there's been some delay. We've found that it would be weeks into months, and you think that, I'm able to get one fixture and everything looks good to go. And then you find out there's a backlog or the ship can't get here, or, who
Hmm.
knows, a plethora
Yeah.
of issues because of the pandemic. And
Right.
then you're having to find another product or manufacturer that's maybe made in the USA, that's
Hmm.
not, shipping from overseas, or, finding materials that you can reuse that are sustainable, maybe something that's again here in the US that you can easily get to.
Yeah.
So yes, that's definitely making a
Yeah.
huge difference.
Yeah. I find that that is something I'm telling, my home buyers when we go out and they say, "Hey, how long do you think this project will take?" And I said, if we weren't in the middle of this pandemic and having to deal with the supply demands or, delays, there'd be a more reasonable answer to that question. But I think,
Yes.
I think I just want people to be realistic. I want them
Absolutely.
to know and be patient with whatever project or whatever thing it
Mhm.
is that they're wanting to do. Tack on maybe at least a couple of extra weeks, maybe even a month or so, and just be patient because you have to. I mean, there's just no
Right.
other option.
As soon as they know
Absolutely.
they love something, go ahead and put that order in. Like, don't
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
hem and haw.
Don't
Try to get
wait.
it
Yeah.
done as soon as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Caitlin, did you want to add anything about bathrooms? And then I have questions for you about kitchens, but
No, I think, well, if we're talking about, you talking about more budget conscious.
sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then to the other end, if you have clients who are just looking for something to refresh the space in the meantime, maybe they're not ready to take the plunge and go into a full bathroom remodel. Maybe the space is like functional, but not cute. Maybe it's a little dated. They can certainly get away with spending 5K and below on something to refresh their space, even way less. I've seen some great facelifts for
Hmm.
$500. It all
Hmm.
really just depends on how much work you personally are willing to put in.
Right.
Again, if you're willing to put in the sweat equity, you can save so much money on contractors and things.
Right. Right.
Also, keep in mind sales, big box stores like the IKEAs, the Home Depots, the Lowe's, Wayfair, things like that. You can really get some great accessories or a new vanity
Hmm.
for much more cost effective prices that will still modernize the space without costing you an arm and a leg.
Right.
Um, if it already happens to have an IKEA cabinet in there, for instance, there are plenty of websites where you can get custom doors to just like change the front, for instance.
Yeah.
And then you can have fun. You can paint tile. We've talked about that previously. You could do stick
Hmm.
on tile. You can update the paint, maybe do an interesting mural or wallpaper if it's,
Hmm. Hmm.
humidity rated. Change out your curtains. There's lots of little things that you can do that can really change out the
Yeah.
feel of a space.
Yeah.
Lighting, for instance, is a huge one.
Sure.
So definitely, like if they're not ready yet, then there are plenty of things that they can do to just kind of give it a little facelift in the meantime.
Yeah, yeah. And I think one thing that I've noticed with my own home buyers, when they take on projects, sometimes they will end up in over their head. And
Mhm.
that's when they'll call me and say, do you know any contractors who can come in? Because we started this electrical and we don't know what we're doing.
Oh, see,
Or they
yeah,
dive into
Mm.
plumbing, which
that's the
wow,
scary
I
part.
applaud
Yeah.
the I
I
applaud the
would not.
effort. I
Right.
applaud the effort,
Applaud.
but
Oh,
whoo, so yeah, it's kind of a good idea to possibly have somebody in mind as kind of like your backup and your support if you're
Oh,
going to be
sure.
diving in and trying these bigger
Yes.
projects.
If you're
mhm.
trying to get into the guts, absolutely.
Yeah.
Talk to your professionals. Find somebody you trust. Maybe there's somebody local that is really going to put their heart into your project, that you can trust. But if it's just surfaces, then you should be good.
Give it
I
a
trust
go.
you all can do it. But yes, when you get into the guts of things, we don't want to start fires or flood your basement. Absolutely not.
A lot of similar things that you're thinking about when you're thinking about renovating your bathroom. The cost of kitchens, as you know, can really be very high. So typical
Mhm.
price or cost of renovating a kitchen is about $25,000. That can go anywhere from 15 to 38,000, even more. I mean, just depending on the cost of
Right.
fixtures and just different finishes.
And
Um,
stoves.
Yep.
so
Oh
yes,
yeah, the appliances
appliances.
are, yeah.
Yes, you can really spend a pretty penny on
Mhm.
appliances. So just thinking about those things, hiring the people that you need, again, those are things that you're going to have to consider. And then anytime you want to blow out a wall or what have you, that's going to, of course, increase the cost. A
Mhm.
lot of things that people are thinking about now, whereas previously it was very much about open kitchens, open floor plans. But now that you have, your family kind of all being under the same roof a lot with the pandemic and working remotely and
Yes.
students being at home.
Mhm.
Now we're seeing that a lot of homeowners kind of want to still have those rooms that are a bit sectioned off.
Mhm.
So some of the things that you may want to think about for your kitchen is if you're expanding it, maybe having a section where you have some built-in custom cabinetry with
Mhm.
built-in desks, with storage, that sort of thing, maybe blowing into a dining room if you don't really use that for family dinners.
Right.
Maybe
Right.
you like to sit at the kitchen table. So really thinking about how you use the space
Yeah.
and how your family is going to be using the space going forward, and making changes to make sure that it works for you.
Right.
Of course, the same thing goes with permits. If if you have any load bearing walls and that sort of thing, you want to get some experts in there to make sure you're not doing anything that can cause a problem in the future.
Right.
So you definitely want to have someone to ask those questions. But definitely things that can really tick up the price and give you a very custom seamless look is like
Mhm.
panel ready appliances,
Yeah.
so that it has the same finish as the rest of your cabinetry. It looks
Right.
seamless and beautiful. um, Windows and doors, some things to consider if you are renovating the inside of the kitchen, but then you still have your same old windows that
Yeah.
you've had for the past 30 years, and everything looks gorgeous, and then you see that window and it doesn't look so great,
Right.
or the
Right.
door going out to your patio doesn't look as nice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thinking about all of those components of your kitchen,
Right.
and making sure that it all looks great at the end of the day.
I like what you said about rethinking the space and using it the way you live. Because again, when I go into homes, frequently they're staged by the listing
Mhm.
agent. And
Mhm.
however it's staged, sometimes buyers will have that locked in their head. They'll
Yes.
say, oh, this room in the living room, or has to be no, imagine it furniture out and just blank slate. And
Mhm.
some people can do it and some people can't, but I know you can because it's your business, and you have that vision, to see the beauty that exists by using these rooms the way you
Mhm.
live.
Right, right. And that's such a good point about home stagers. They're trying to get as many people to love the space as
Hmm.
possible. So,
Right.
of course, they're trying to neutralize the space.
Right.
Hmm.
But for each individual, I think it's important. I know one of the things Caitlin and I had talked about was, you think about, oh, well, if I'm going to be selling the place in a few years, I don't know if I want to make it too custom and too much
Yeah.
how I live. But it's like, think about how are you living right now? You just
Right.
never know
Mhm.
what the next person may want. Like, that is something to
True.
consider, and that's
Right.
Hmm.
understandable. But think about how you use your home so that
Mm.
you love it, so that you're
Right.
happy with it, and that you can live as comfortably as possible.
In
Yeah.
the present, yes. Now, I can also speak to the cost conscious side for this as
Mhm.
well, which again could be 10K, 15K, or below, depending on the level of change that you're looking to make. Some things that have high impact again would be maybe changing out the flooring from an old tile
Yeah.
is a big one. Maybe countertops, changing to a butcher block perhaps from an
Mm.
old style. Again, I've seen a lot of like tile countertops, for instance.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but again, paint. You can paint your cabinets if they're in fair shape. Change out the hardware, give it a
Yeah.
little new jewelry. Lighting again. There's a lot of things you can do to change the feel of the space. Maybe you want to make it feel a little more open and fresh,
Mhm.
and you've got some pretty dishes you want to show off. Perhaps you're going to take the fronts off your uppers and really put them on display. Maybe you can add a little trim just to give it just a little
Pop.
elevation.
Yeah.
And absolutely, absolutely. So again, as long as you're not changing out some of those guts that we were talking about, major electrical work, plumbing, moving sinks, things like that, you can make a nice impact for a lower price.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, with bathrooms, is making sure that you have wet rated
Yeah,
fixtures.
yeah.
That's very important. So we just want
Mhm.
to make sure that people are
Lighting
thinking
fixtures
about
that are wet
that.
rated, yes.
Yes, we want to make
Apply
sure
that
that
on
their
each
light
listing.
fixtures are, yes, wet
Mhm.
rated.
Say that
That's
again. It's wet rated.
wet rated. Yes,
Mhm.
rated. And there's also um, uh, uh, UL listed products, and those
Yeah.
products are basically just to ensure that all of the fixtures that you're using, light fixtures, are meeting industry standard, which is very important.
Mhm.
And so you just want to pay attention to those different things. Another really quick thing to think about with your kitchens was, we had talked, since we were just talking about light fixtures, is adding maybe under cabinet lighting, which
Yes.
can add a lot of mood and some
Mhm.
Mhm.
atmosphere, and it can give you
Mhm.
Yeah.
some task lighting, which is great.
Oh, TiAndra Houston and Caitlin Donahue are commercial designers in Washington, DC and the Baltimore area. I want to thank you both so much for coming on Listen Up Home Buyers. Always a pleasure to talk to you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so,
Victoria.
Victoria.